I'm going to go over some big issues with Americans moving to Spain. We'll go over visas, taxes, investing, banking, financial issues. So, first of all, why are people moving to Spain? It's not that far away. It's about six time zones, 6 hours different from New York to Spain. So not crazy different. And it's about a 7 hour flight, New York to Spain. Not too far compared to a lot of others. Cost of living is definitely lower. The biggest city, Madrid, Barcelona, the bigger, more expensive cities are comparable to mid-sized, smaller cities in the US. Way less than the larger US cities. Um, the monthly income threshold is not crazy. Digital Nomad Visa, about 3,000, $3,000 a month. And there is a pathway to citizenship. It's a great lifestyle, very walkable. You can get by without a car, good weather, healthcare is great. Spanish is, a lot of people have some inkling of Spanish in the US, so it's not crazy difficult language, and you may already have some, so it makes it an easy start there. Um, and then you can do remote work easily there. So, some of the issues that we're going to cover, we'll talk about the big visas, digital nomad, working while you're abroad, the non-lucrative, just retired, you have Social Security, pension, investment income, and then highly qualified. If you do get a job from someone there, from a company there, great. That's one. The golden visa is done. That's no longer an option. Spanish taxes, you have to figure out if you're a tax resident. The tax brackets we'll go over. Okay, Beckham law we can cover. And then wealth taxes and Roths are important to keep in mind. Pre-move steps, if you are moving over there, what can you do before you end up moving? And then we'll talk about cash moving. So visa pathways, like I said, digital nomad visa is probably is the most popular. Minimum income for one person. If you have dependents, if you're bringing more people in, the limits go up. So about 3,000 a year. I mean, sorry, 3,000 a month, 36,000, 40,000 a year. Not crazy income requirement to be able to stay there. Non-lucrative, again, 2,400 euros a month, $35,000 a year. Um, yeah, you can renew it up to 5 years. And then if you have a job offer, great. When do you become a Spanish tax resident? So if you're there more than half the year, they're going to expect you to file Spanish taxes. You're always filing US taxes. If you're a US citizen, you are filing US taxes. We're one of the weird countries that no matter where you live, even if you're hardly ever in the US or not in the US for a year, you're still liable for US taxes. Um, or if your center of economic interest is Spain, even if you're under that 183, that could make you eligible. And then family. If everyone else is living there, even if you're under half, you could be presumed to be a resident. The income tax rates are much more stringent. They go up quicker. They have a higher maximum tax rate and they go up a lot faster. So, whereas in the US, to get to the 37% tax bracket for a single person, you have to make over $640,000. In Spain, 35, well, whatever, $40,000 would get you in that 35% bracket. If you're over 300,000 euros, but let's just say $350,000, you're even 10% higher. Investment income, dividends, interest, and capital gains are taxed um, at a higher rate. In the US, it's zero, or if you're in the lower two tax brackets, 15% for most of us. It does have 20% for high earners, but generally 15% is what you can count on for capital gains. Dividend and interest, though, in the US, you're taxed at income tax rate. In Spain, you're going to be taxed on their separate investment income brackets. Beckham law. Now, this is if you have Spanish source employment income. So it's cool. You got to pay attention to it if you're getting income from a Spanish employer and you're living there. A lot of our clients are retiring there or doing virtual nomad where they're not relying on a Spanish employer. It's hard to get a job through a Spanish employer. They have to show that there's no EU person that can meet the requirements. It's not an easy path. But if you have some special abilities, some special, like Beckham, if you play soccer really well, or if you have some special ability, great, then this could apply. And then you can just have a flat Spanish sourced employment income. I mean, it's up to 600,000 euros. Which if you are that unique in your employing ability, maybe you're above that. I don't know the situation, but know it's there. But unless you're getting income from Spain, it's not applicable. Wealth tax. They do have a wealth tax in all areas except Madrid and Andalusia. Andalusia, that's Sevilla, Granada, Malaga. So there's some nice places in Andalusia, and you can avoid the estate tax. And then Madrid, of course, you avoid that. Sorry, wealth tax. Yeah, and then different areas will have more or less. It varies depending on the region you're in. But you are allowed to have 700,000 euros. That's exempt. Primary residence, 300,000, exempt. And then there's a progressive rate depending on how much assets, how much wealth you have. And it goes from a very small percentage up to a 3.5%, which is significant. But again, you have to have if you own a property, above €1 million of wealth plus to get up to that highest bracket. Okay. Roth IRAs. Yeah, this is big. Roths are considered taxable distribution. They're considered like IRAs. So in the US, you get to take that money out. That's great. Awesome. But in Spain, they are going to tax you on that, on the gain that's coming out. Yeah, the gains are taxed as income. So that just means you want to do some planning at least the year before you become a Spanish tax resident. Do some planning around Roths for sure. Well, if you're planning on staying there, if you're just going to stay there and then come back to the US, great, that's no problem. Let the Roths grow if you don't need them. Let the Roths grow and then you can deal with them. It's only when there's distributions that you're going to deal with the Spanish taxes on them. So you don't have to deal with them if you're coming back. Capital gains, that's could be a good opportunity if there are some gains. Again, if you're moving and going to stay there, if you're moving and coming back to the US and you don't need this money, you're not going to harvest any gains, you're not going to make any sales, beautiful. Just don't sell while you're a tax resident there. Come back to the US, you can do your sales as needed. But if you are staying there long term, it could make sense to take some of those gains and get taxed in the US. And then you're over there with the new cost basis, and you won't have as much of a tax problem when you're there, or you won't be taxed at their higher rate. Yeah, be aware brokerage accounts. A lot of companies are going to have issues with you having living abroad. So Vanguard, Fidelity, Edward Jones, Ameriprise, all those are going to not allow you to be a foreign resident. They're going to close your accounts if you um, have them. I mean, they're not going to take your money or anything. You just have to shift them to like a Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab International is fine. That's what most of our clients use. It's great for international clients. You could just transfer from Vanguard to Schwab. It's not taxable. You can do an IRA to IRA. It's not a taxable event. You can do in kind, just move assets from brokerage accounts. You don't have to generate capital gains. You could just move your accounts over to a different brokerage house. Interactive Brokers is a Europe-based company, and they're great. They're great for American, well, Charles Schwab is built for Americans living abroad. Interactive Brokers is great if you're a non-American abroad. Um, yeah. Yeah, identify. Yeah, don't update your address. Do the transfer. You have some time to do the transfer, and you can just do in-kind transfers and then deal with them. Here's an issue if you, the US has punitive tax rules against having these European foreign investments. So if you open an Interactive Brokers account and you buy funds in it, yeah, the US will tax you pretty heavily. If you buy individual stocks, you can avoid that, or just hold your US brokerage account from abroad. Your Charles Schwab International will be fine, and you avoid that European mutual fund issue. You kind of get double whammied if you have these foreign accounts. They're going to want foreign, European mutual funds, and then the US is going to penalize you. Yeah. Pre-move things to do, the capital gains harvesting, take some of that long-term capital gains and get taxed in the US before you go. And again, this is for people going long-term. Their plan is to live abroad and draw money, or maybe it's not for that long, but they're going to have to draw money and there may be Roth distributions or capital gains generated. So you can take care of that ahead of time, get taxed at a lower rate. Roth conversions or distributions, distribute your Roths or partially, again, if you're not planning on coming back. HSAs, they can be taxed on the earnings annually. So having them isn't a big advantage. Having them is great in the US because you contribute and you get a tax deduction. It's pre-tax money, and then you can use it tax-free, but you might want to use it up as much as you can before you move. 529s not tax advantaged. US real estate, so that might be pre-move something to do. Trust and estate review. You do want to be careful with trusts in Spain. It would be good to review estate plan documents as well to make sure they're doing what you want, not harming you or your situation. Moving cash to Spain. A lot of our clients, when I do this, is use Wise. There's other OFX, that's fine. Going bank to bank is generally going to generate not be the best situation. You may get below market exchange rates, plus there's fees. Wise, it's very transparent. There is a fee, but it's very transparent. They tell you what it is, and then they give you the market exchange. Okay. So strategy, I guess you want to, look at Spanish lawyers, Spanish accountant, figure out what visa path you're doing, have your meeting with the consulate in the US, do some tax projections. What's going to be your situation this year? If, the year you move, maybe you're not a Spanish resident, do some pre-move, pre-being a Spanish tax resident activities. Roth, capital gains, HSAs, 529s in real estate. Yeah, apply, move, settle in. It's not insurmountable. And even though the tax rates are higher, you're not double taxed. So you'll be paying US tax and then you'll be paying the on your US income, then you'll be paying Spanish tax on the difference on the whatever wasn't covered, but the amount, well, actually you'll be filing, but you'll be calculating both. And then you don't, the amount you paid in the US will apply towards the amount you owe in Spain. So you don't have to pay double. You'll just pay the amount above that. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, Beckham law. Again, if you have Spanish income from Spain, be careful with European mutual funds or ETF. The funds are, you're going to get penalized. Yeah, don't let your broker close your accounts first. You have time to just shift accounts over so that they're not going to get closed. Yeah, sell investments after the move is a bad. Yeah, I guess these are bad things to do. Right. I mean, do your planning ahead of time so you're not clobbered by more taxes than you need to pay. Update your estate plan documents, right? And then, right, just being there more than half the year, being there in June instead of waiting till July, then yeah, you're stuck with an extra year of paying Spanish taxes. AIO Financial, I'm Bill Holiday with AIO Financial. So we help clients, we're fee-only financial advisors. We help clients with pre-move planning, transition support, the cross-border investing, and coordination with yeah, with the visa, estate plan, investments, taxes are a big one. We don't get commissions. We don't sell products. We don't get kickbacks from referrals. We are only compensated by our clients. So let me know if you need any help. Let me know if you have any comments. I appreciate you sticking out and watching this. Yeah, let me know if anything comes up. If you have any comments, appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good one.